Hi everybody. I decided to try and go live so I could go over some of my favorite camera channels with you. I haven't gone live in probably over 2 years. It's not my favorite thing to do. It makes me super nervous, but I wanted to go ahead and give it a shot and see if I have everything set up correctly. And if I don't, I hope you'll bear with me. But there was several channels that I wanted to go over. They're more obscure channels on YouTube that deal with camera content, and you may not have heard about them. I'm gonna go ahead and try to find my tab. Here it is. Like I said, I haven't done this in ages. Okay, so this first channel is called AVP Studios, and this guy probably has about every camera you can imagine. I would love to be able to buy every camera just to try it out and play with it. So far I've only been able to try out a lot of the Sony crop sensor cameras, and I have the Sony a7 IV, and I started out with the Micro Four Thirds, the Lumix G95, and then I was able to get the Lumix G9. But I wanted to show you a little clip from this guy because I love his content. Oops.
Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know by now I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today I'm doing a comparison. I said I would, and I think I ought to, because everybody else is comparing these two products, and I don't think really that's terribly fair, and I'll explain why. And what we're looking at is the Sony ZV-1, which is this cute little baby here. And I use two of these ZV-1s on a regular basis running this YouTube channel, and they're great little cameras. I'd be lost without them. I think they're brilliant. So that's one of them, the ZV-1.
I don't know if you've ever tried the ZV-1. I thought it was so cute, but I heard it had kind of the focal the lens wasn't wide enough. I don't even remember all the statistics, but it's so adorable. I wanted to get it because of the compact size.
And then the other one we're looking at, which I think is a worthy consideration, is the Panasonic G100, which is this one here, which has also got this flippy whippy screen. And that's a Panasonic G100. Now, the reason why people are comparing these two cameras, because both manufacturers, rightly or wrongly, promoting the G100, Panasonic promoting the G100 as the ideal vlogging camera, which is fair enough. It's got the tilty-wilty screen, and why not? Likewise, Sony are promoting their ZV-1 as the ideal vlogging camera, which is right as well to some extent. Now, which is better out of the two? Well, I use both, so I don't think there is a better one out of the two. But I'm just going to go through some of the reasons why I think the G100 is underrated, and actually in some respects is better than the ZV-1. In actual fact, so much so, as my regular going out and about, when we do go out and about camera, it will be the G100. It won't be the ZV-1, which it used.
I will agree with that. I love the G100. I could slip it in my purse and take it to the park just with a moment's notice. You know, if I was heading out, I could just grab it. I didn't have to pack a whole big camera bag. I do miss that camera. I had it with the little lens that came with it. I think it was a 12 to 32 millimeter lens. It was real tiny. It wasn't the best quality of lens, but it was so compact. I could take it with me anywhere.
Used to be. It won't be the ZV-1. It will definitely be the G100, and I'm going to go through why I think the G100 is the best all-round travel camera and vlogging camera. Although I know some people won't agree with me on that, but I mean that's what this channel is about, and that's what YouTube is all about. Everyone has the right to their own opinions, as it were. Now, the similarities are they both got 20 megapixel sensors. The G100 has got the same sensor as the GH5 and the G9, so you're getting great images. It's micro four thirds sensor as well, so you're going to get great images from the G100. The Sony, on the other hand, has got a 1-inch sensor. So this one here has got the 1-inch sensor. I guess it's very similar to the 1-inch sensor that's in the RX100 range. Certainly the RX100 6 and 7, it is the same sensor as those. You get nice images off the RX100, but you get better images, I believe, from the G100, simply because it's got that slightly bigger sensor. It's actually quite a bit bigger sensor. It's all
I'm not gonna lie, some of my favorite photos that I've ever taken were with the Lumix G100. I'm hoping one day that Lumix would be able to go ahead and re-release like a G100 Mark II with phase detect autofocus. That would be amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna take a look and see how I'm doing here on. Oh wow, I've got actual people in the chat. I didn't think that was gonna happen. I tried to go live a little bit earlier, and it went live before I was even ready. I had hit my F1 button on my software, and I didn't know it was just gonna automatically connect. I thought it would schedule it for later, but this is very nerve-wracking. I know some creators don't go live, but I wanted to give it a try because it is sort of exhilarating to get over your fears. I probably won't be able to keep up with the chat, but I'm gonna definitely try my best here. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get some of these to read.
S. Ian Sithorn number 3 hello. Thear Toff M man number 1 Z30 over ZV1 all day. Jason Herman number 1 Z30 is pretty awesome. Volker SCH Unk number 3 what a cool idea. Thumbs up. CNG Sithorn number 3 G100 ZV1 of course. Jason Herman number 1 the G100 is a beast. Insane value for the money Sayang Sithorn. Number 1 type sensor is not even actually one. Manila Martin hello from Philippines CH.
Oh, that's very cool. I wasn't sure if I could get this Windows narrator to work properly. There's some kind of a cool program called StreamerBot that you can integrate with YouTube, where you can actually have the chat read out loud or just certain things that you want read, because I have a hard time reading on my screen without leaning into it too far. So I figured out a way to get the Windows narrator to work, to do like a voiceover, which I think is pretty cool, because that's one of the main reasons that I never want it to go live. But I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the next channel here. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into here, and then I'm going to get off of myself. Okay, so that one is one of my favorite channels, and it's pretty hard for me to find it. AVP Studios. Remember that, because if you have gear acquisition syndrome like I do, this guy is so awesome to watch, because I'm telling you, any new camera that comes out, she told her, whoops, disconnected. Whoops. Hopefully it's good. It says it's reconnecting. Anyway, so this next creator, Diana Gladney, Diana Gladney, told her story about when she left her job at the bank doing customer service to become an entrepreneur. And I've always really looked up to her. So this one I think you should really check out if you haven't heard of Diana Gladney. She's really cool.
So you all have had some questions on the channel, so I figured why not come out and about in this wonderful hell hot heat and get you guys some of your questions answered, but a little bit more vlog style, just getting out and about, utilizing that good weather, close those rings and those steps. So let's get to your questions. First question coming in saying your breakdowns are so great thinking about the Sony ZV-10 Mark II versus the iPhone 15 or 16 Pro for talking head, language education style content, medium to long form, in a home studio with good lights and audio. Any advice? Why, yes, I do have some advice. Here's the thing. Most of the time, you can get away with what you're already using, which is your phone. You do not need to have a dedicated camera. It is not required. And the thing is this, phones have been vetted for a really long time. It is not that big of a deal if you want to use one. What is a big of a deal is more of whether or not you feel like this is going to be frustrating for you to use your phone. You do need the accessories. You do need to make sure you have good lighting, which you said you already have all the accessories and hashtag all the things, and that's great. But one of the things is making sure, if nothing else, you know you and know what's going to frustrate you more, a camera or your phone.
You know, when I first started out, I was using my iPhone 6S Plus, I think it was called, and the quality was perfectly fine. I had wanted to start making YouTube videos just as a hobby, and I had put it on a little tripod, and it was actually fine. But then I started to watch Think Media, and I started to want to get the Sony A6400 because it looked so wonderful, and I wanted to vlog with it, which unfortunately I'm not great at vlogging because I'm pretty nervous out in public. Carrying around a camera and pointing it at myself, I don't feel supernatural with that. But anyway, I'll show you another little clip here.
I don't think there's anything wrong with using your phone. I just know, for me, for example, I started with my phone. After doing some videos with it, it frustrated the hell out of me, and I'm like, I'm good with this. Let me use a dedicated camera, and that's been the right decision and choice for me. Sometimes you won't know until you do it. Go make 20, 30 videos with your phone, and maybe you'll know by video 7 how frustrating it is for you or how liberating it is for you. Give it a shot, and then if you don't like it, then you know maybe the camera route is more for you. Or sometimes people try it and it's like, you know what, my phone isn't as bad as I thought. Give it a shot, see what you think, and you figure out for your use case whether or not you think this is a good situation for you or if it's more annoying. You don't know what you think you know about creating until you actually do it. And what I mean by that is you got to do stuff. Content creation is for doers. It's not for contemplating. It's not for thinking. It's not for anything other than doing. You have to do. So I love my phrase learn and do because it is a cycle. You learn, you do. You do, you learn. And then the cycle just continues, and it's a beautiful process. Next question.
So she is one of my favorites. She hasn't been posting quite as regularly lately, but I would always catch her on a live stream and I would learn so much. And she definitely gave me the confidence to try to leave my job and everything. But I want to just make sure that this is still showing active, because when it said it disconnected, I'm not sure if it was still good to go. Let's see here. See, it has a lag in the stream when on my monitor on the YouTube Studio, so it's super confusing. Shows it's still live. I think I'm good. You can let me know if everything looks good still. I'm gonna go ahead and let this read some of the chat.
Jason Herman number 1. Hey there J.A. Son Herman number 1. I agree. Live is very hard for me to do as well. The Artof M man number 2. Hi Se. Angsith Orn number 3. Hello. Th. Ertof M man number 1. Z30 over ZV1 all day. Jason Herman number 1. Z30 is pretty awesome. Volker SCH Unk number 3 what a cool idea. Thumbs up. Tooltip Seong Sit NG Sithorn number 3 G100 ZV1 of course. Jason Herman number 1 the G100 is a beast. Insane value for the money Seong Sithorn. Number 1 type sensor is not even actually one. Manila Martin hello from Philippines SE. Ang Sithorn number 1 in 5 years. We'll come back to this video referring it as the classic setup. Jason Herman number 2 yeah, Diana is great. The Top M man number 1 cool button, M. And Isla Martin I love Diana. Duh. And for our live stream. Cool smiling face with sunglasses. Press the thumbs up everybody. Jason Herman N number 3 thumbs up. Thumbs up, JAS on Herman number 3 phones are great, but once you discover depth of field, it's all over.
Exactly.
Haha. The Top M man number 1 I green heart. Good lighting Baloo 35 go good day, Tona Junkies, grinning face, smiling face with sunglasses, BAL Lu 35 love your channel, very refreshing, smiling face with sunglasses, smiling face with sunglasses, smiling face with sunglasses, party popper, folded hands, C hat, chat, tooltip.
Okay. Well, this actually is working better than I thought, because on my original channel, whenever I would try to do this and try to read, I'd be like up like this in the screen and I would feel so ridiculous, and that's why I didn't want to do it. But I don't have the actual software to do, you know, where it reads. I have a magnification software, but I don't have that incorporated. So I've been trying to get a hold of that, but it's kind of expensive. It's like, I think it's like a $400 upgrade. So I didn't necessarily want to do that yet until I can save up some money. But let me flip over to the videos again. Try to keep this going here. Whoops. No, I need to go back to this tab with Diana. I'll get the hang of this, I think, one day. Okay, so this next channel is Birding with Kaliopi, and if you follow camera conspiracies as much as I do, 'cause that's my favorite channel. I obsessively watched that when I wanted to buy my first camera, and he was one of the only ones that went out there and actually used the cameras and walked around with them. So when he met this lady in the park and she taught him so much about birding, and he helped her get set up with a Canon R7, I think, and I don't know which lens exactly, but she is just so awesome, and she really knows the behavior of the birds, unlike I know nothing about bird behavior. So when she, you know, shows fledglings and shows how the parents feed them, and sometimes the fledglings won't accept the berries, or they won't accept, you know, whatever the parents are bringing them. They have all these little mannerisms that I would have never known about. Now, when I try to do bird photography, being someone that is low vision, what I end up doing is, like, if I go out to the park with someone, I met a photographer one time at the park, and he goes, "There's a woodpecker," and I was like, "Where?" He's like, "Right there." "Where?" So what I do is I have them tell me where the woodpecker is on the tree, like what branch, kind of like, you know, is it over to the left, over, you know. And it's tricky, but once I have a lucky moment, and then I can get my lens focused in the right spot, and of course the lens magnifies the bird, so I am golden. So let's do Birding with Kaliopi, a couple little clips of her channel. I really like it. She needs to grow.
Welcome back to Birding with Kaliopi. I've been in indigo bunting territory for years. Each season I've tried to follow them, listening for their song, watching for flashes of color, but they've always remained just out of reach. This year something shifted. I knew more, I saw more, and I stayed longer. And this time they let me in just a little.
They are gorgeous. I've never been able to see anything that color before. I don't even know how she spots them, but I guess if you have regular vision, it's a little bit easier.
Now, this species has long been part of the summer soundscape here. In fact, I've been documenting indigo buntings at this patch for several seasons. Their persistent singing has always suggested breeding activity, but this year, for the first time, I was able to confirm it with my own eyes. Still, they're not easy to observe. They favor the high branches, and unless sunlight catches them just right, they vanish into the green. The males sing, yes, but they also forage silently, disappear into shade, and perch where no camera can follow. And the female? Oh boy, she's even harder to find. I saw her only once on camera early in the season, foraging in the blossoms beside the male. That time, they moved lightly through the branches, picking petals and insects, and I have seen her 3 other times through binoculars. Brief sightings that vanish before I can even lift my camera to capture her. Then, after weeks of watching and wondering, this, a fledgling. Quiet, still, shaded. The first visual proof I've had of indigo buntings successfully breeding here. All near the same crabapple where the pair had been seen earlier in the season. Now, after this, the males went quiet for a few days, and I thought that was the end of the season, but then the singing resumed.
I think her channel is incredible, and I'm really excited to watch it grow. Let's see here. I'm going to switch back over to me, and let's see here. I'm going to go into the chat. I'm going to see here. I think I'm just going to go from... I don't want to keep going all the way back to the very top. I'm just going to go from right about here.
Slough Media. In my 4 years of photography/videography, I still use my phone as my vlogging setup. LOL. Baloo 35 greetings from overcast Kenosha, Wisconsin. Friends. Davine Portland brings back memories of my speak and spell. Dan Farrar having a sore neck is part of seeing impairments no one talks about. LOL. Dan Farrar. Number 2 other YouTubers
Yes.
with vision problems, Camera Noob, myself, Omar Gonzalez, and Pal 2 Tech, all badass YT creators with failing vision. The Tof Man number 1
That's
Omar
cool.
is GOAT, 100 points. Tof Man number 1 Omar is GOAT, 100 points. Number 1, Omar is GOAT, 100 points. Mike Helcomo Camera Noob is the only channel that matters. Chat.
I'll take that. Oh, I don't want to have a big head or anything. Oh, let's see here. Well, I haven't freaked out yet. A couple times I wanted to, but if I miss anything in the chat, you'll forgive me, I'm sure. I know there's got to be a better way. It's a little scary having it read out loud, though, because, you know, if you get trolls and stuff, but being kind of a new channel, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue yet. But if anyone knows how to use SpeakerBot, the software or the app is just, it's complicated. When I watch these streamer tutorials, these young guys, they're just like leagues ahead of me and I can't keep up. And I don't think that I'm unintelligent, but when it comes to using, and they'll even say the interface of StreamerBot is very old school, very basic. And I kind of want something that's just integrated. So like whenever a chat comes up, it can speak it, but maybe that's not the best in a way, because if I'm trying to play videos and stuff, you know, it might interrupt. But I'm gonna go back to, let's see here. Let's see, this one. I made some hotkeys for OBS so I could do these switches and everything. Yep, so keep birding and Kaliopi in mind. That's a great one. The next channel is Brian James Photography, otherwise known as that Micro Four Thirds guy. He is another creator that I had started to follow when I was looking to purchase my first camera. And he really gives you a no-nonsense breakdown of the different gear. And it's not always about the gear with him. He'll also take you to different locations and sometimes air museums. I think he was in the Royal Air Force. And his channel just, it's not just gear, you know, because that's one of my problems. I have gear acquisition syndrome so bad that I'm easily influenced to buy the latest cameras, but I can't always afford them, obviously. So I have to sell what I have to buy a new system, and that doesn't always make sense. So right now I've pretty much been staying with my Sony a7 IV. And the main thing that I don't like about it is I love to do a lot of video in slow motion. So I want 4K 120 frames per second. But I ended up getting an A7S III. I still don't know how I was able to get such a good deal, but it was, you know, basically half the price of what it started with, and I'm too ashamed to admit that it was about $2,000, but I had sold off some other things to buy it, and I was obsessed with that 4K 120. I don't know why I can't, like, the HD on the Sony a7 IV is a little bit muddy, and a couple years ago I wouldn't have even cared about that, but now I'm just obsessed with that crisp footage. And all I do is go around my neighborhood filming squirrels and at the nature park, trying to film birds, and sometimes we get sandhill cranes, and they're so much fun to capture some footage of them. And it's weird because I'm a true hybrid shooter. I love 50-50, you know, I like photography just as much as I like video. And I did get a ZVE1, but it didn't have a viewfinder, and it was driving me nuts. The grip was kind of shallow. So I was coveting the Sony a7S III for years, and it's been 5 years since it's been released. But I just recently was able to get one, and the autofocus for animals isn't there for video, it is for photo, but the photos are only 12 megapixels, so it's lacking. But the ZVE1 focuses on it has animal eye detect in video. It's amazing, but it's just the body kind of is lacking for wildlife. In all honesty, I'd love the Sony A1 Mark II because it has that stills video switch, but the dang thing's like $6,000, $6,500, so I don't think I'm going to be getting that anytime soon. But let's take a look at Brian James. I picked this video because it's one of my favorites.
In this video, I'm back. I'm back to where it all started in 2021. So join me and find out where I am. Roll titles.
I like his little theme song.
Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again. Yes, I am still the Micro Four Thirds Guy. January 2021. I came up here because I've been confined to barracks, having had COVID for 10 days. And, well, I hadn't had COVID for 10 days, I'd had COVID for about 3 days. I wasn't well, had a bit of a cold for 3 days. But because of the restrictions at the time, I was confined to barracks. I wasn't allowed out by law. Just trying to get over this cattle grid before I kill myself. And the Sunday was the end of the 10 days period. Now, I've done a couple of videos previously on the channel. I've done a few videos previously on the channel, all sorts of things, but Well, nothing had really gripped. Nothing had really said, do some videos, do lots of videos. And when I got there, that 10 days had just been too much for me. I don't like being confined into the house and things, especially not in the cold. In the winter months are horrible. And so I drove my car, drove up to this place, which is on Hadrian's Wall. I'll just give you a quick scan around. Let's see what we can do on this one. There we are. So that is part of the infamous Hadrian's Wall. We'll go up there in a second and have a look. And you'll see a few cars go past or hear a few.
Isn't that gorgeous? This video really stuck out to me, and I remembered it after all this time because the colors are so rich. He normally films with the Lumix G100, the Lumix G9, and he also uses a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which is one of my favorite little cameras because it's on a gimbal. But the colors in this video just were so stunning, and I've always wanted to travel to the UK. I know he's, moved on from the UK now, but I think he's in Cyprus. But the UK, I kind of like the overcast, the cloudy, kind of colder weather. I've never been there, but it speaks to me somehow.
A few cars go past them right beside the road. But that is part of Hadrian's Wall. And we're just inside Cumbria. So we're right on the edge of the Cumbria-Northumbria border. I came out and I brought out my OM1. Yes, I will still mention cameras. I will still mention it because a few people have said in the comments that I'm leaving Micro Four Thirds. I'm not. I'm just not going to concentrate on all the silly reviews. And thanks for all the comments, by the way. There's some phenomenal comments. Huge load of them and some really encouraging ones. Thank you very much because I really do appreciate it. But I'll still be out here, still using Micro Four Thirds. I haven't left the format. It's still the most spot-on format for what I need. But I am wanting to have that little bit of elbow room, stick my elbows out. As my sister said to me yesterday, it's my house. I decide what goes on in it. This channel is my house. So I'll just put my elbows out a little bit so I don't get too constrained. But yes, I will still be using my Micro Four Thirds cameras.
Yeah, I thought that was such a great video because, he's used full frame in his professional career, and he wanted to, try some full frame cameras, especially, oops, hold on, let me switch back to me, especially since, full frame has gotten a lot lighter. But the lenses are so huge, and that's what's, kind of becoming a drawback for me because I became obsessed with using full frame, and I thought, I needed that extra quality because in all of these YouTube videos, not from Brian James, mind you, but a lot of these different channels, there's this subtle push towards full frame. It's always, you need to, it'll say, what they'll say is, the quality is fine for Micro Four Thirds or APS-C, but, and if you're not professional, you don't need full frame. It's that little phrase that always gets me because I might be a hobbyist, yes, but I want to be professional. I'm going to look and see here if there's anything in the chat. I'm going to see if I can read from right about here. Bear with me, guys.
Cameras as a tool of trade. VA Hagraphy. Number 3 Hey April. Sjet number 2 at Vahagraphy. I guess I'm not a camera enthusiast, I'm a YouTuber who uses cameras as a tool of trade. VA Hagraphy number 3 Hey April. I gave you a shout out on one of my recent videos. Sjet number 2 Hadrian and number 2. Hadrian needs to take better care of his wall. Vahagraphy number 3 April. Love it when you call out all these YouTube photographers LOL. Sjet number 2 my favorite number 2. My favorite format, 110 Instamatic face with tongue, tooltip Vahagraphy number 3 no. Number 3 nothing against smaller chip cameras but FX full frame is the way to go for me. Can't shoot smaller sensors anymore. Sjet number 2 at V. Ahagrap number 2 at Vihagraphy because I use camcorders. Most of my cameras are small sensor but I still get good results. Do you watch Marcus Pics?
Oh yeah.
Vihagraphy. Number 3.
I love Marcus Pics. I discovered him, I think, through Camera Conspiracies, or I might have found him on my own. But I think it might have been because he gave Casey a bunch of cameras and things, and then I started to watch his channel. But I had a dream one time that he invited me over to his place. I think he lives in Arizona, and he let me pick out whatever cameras I wanted to take home with me. And then I woke up and the dream was over. His wife is very pretty. They also do healthy eating and things like that. Let's see here.
But I still get good results. Do you watch Marcus Pics? Vihagraphy number 3 yes Jet XJ. ET number 2 my perspectives are quite aligned with Marcus's. Wait this is live? Davine Portland cameras are like underwear. Go with what fits you best in that time and place. No matter the camera you'll always have to make a compromise. Megapixels, price, lens choice, card slots etc. There will always be something you have to compromise, chat.
Okay, and let's see here. I'm gonna switch back over. Let's see, where's my window here? There's my Brian James window. Let's see. Okay, so that was Brian James Photography. If you haven't watched him, I would definitely check him out. Now, this next one, this one is, let's see. Okay, this next one is Marlene Hielema. She is from, I believe, Alberta in Canada. And I love watching her because she does a lot of tutorials on the Lumix G9. She has a Lumix G9 Mark II now, but I started watching her when she was doing tutorials on the Lumix G9 and the Lumix G100. And she's also started using the full frame S9 camera by Lumix. But what I love about her channel is she's gotten into birding. She's does skateboard photography, and let's see here. And so I started watching her for the tutorials, but she's gotten into birding and the beautiful landscapes, the prairies where she lives. It's stunningly beautiful. So not only do you get tutorials and everything, you're also getting this stunning scenery and a lot of tips on bird photography. And she still does a skateboard photography, but it's an all-around great watch.
Right now, it's the heart of migration. You can probably hear all the birds here, especially the warblers. There's lots of warblers out today. But now that the leaves are on the trees, it's really hard to photograph them. It's hard to see them, even without trying to take pictures. Hey guys, it's Marlene. For the past couple of months, I've been shooting migrating birds with the Lumix G9 Mark II and my trusty 100 to 400 millimeter lens. But I've been doing things slightly differently now, and I'm going to tell you all about that in this video. But I've also been spending a lot of time in my garden this spring, getting it ready for planting. And I have to say that working in my garden brings me just as much joy as taking photos. Who knew? But back to my new birding techniques. First off, I've stopped using Topaz denoise software. Not for any particular reason than I just don't have time. I've started using the new Lightroom, so no longer Lightroom Classic. And in Lightroom, it's not as simple to access the plugins. I'd have to go back to Lightroom Classic to open up the file directly from Lightroom into Topaz. If I use Lightroom, what I end up having to do is having to open up the app and use the Topaz apps. And that takes too long. So I've done a few modifications to my shooting techniques so that I don't need Topaz denoise as much. Editing is my least favorite part of the photographic process.
You know, editing is my favorite part. And I definitely love to use all the different presets. I love all the autumn presets. And I love, creating my own presets too. But as far as the denoise features go, I haven't used the Topaz denoise, but I used the one in Lightroom. That thing took forever until I got a new PC with what's it, RTX 3070 Super, I think is the graphics card, an NVIDIA RTX 3070. I think I got the Super. It was a deal on Amazon, but anyway, once I got the upgraded graphics card, the denoise feature works so quickly, and it's been amazing. So it takes just, maybe like 15 to 20 seconds per photo. But the denoise, I use it pretty much on everything. I can't help it. Even when it's, it hasn't been in super low light, because I've sort of been, trained that any noise is horrible. Back when I started a couple years ago, noise didn't bother me in the least. But then I started watching YouTube videos.
If my photos aren't close to perfect, if I can't get it right in the camera, chances are I'll delete it and come back another day to shoot that bird. Now, I know some of you love editing photos, especially raw files. Now, you probably know this about me, but I'm a happy-go-lucky JPEG shooter, at least when it comes to birding. Now, of course, landscapes, I typically would shoot raw files, but not all the time, I confess. My second major change is I'm using a slower shutter speed. Now, as a rule, my starting point is 1/1000th of a second, sometimes 1/2000th of a second, but that super fast shutter speed isn't necessary if a bird is sitting on a branch. So instead, I'm using around 1/400th of a second or so, maybe 1/250th, maybe 1/500th, but definitely not 1/1000th or 1/2000th.
I have learned that I had to use about 1/400 for my Sony A7 IV to get, when the animals are pretty still, but they're always moving somewhat. The 1/400th was okay. But I did learn for birds in flight, I had to use 1/2500. But when you use a Lumix camera, because it has such beautiful IBIS, I could get away with 1/1000th. And it's so funny. I had the Lumix G9 Mark II and I had sold it. But it was so funny because I let my brother use my full frame camera and he didn't like the image quality. It was so funny. He said that the Lumix cameras had such prettier colors. He didn't like the way the images looked in the Sony, and he kept asking, why did you sell that? And because I had gotten the full frame bug, obviously, and I was trying to explain to him, it does better in low light, but, just to because he's not into photography nearly as much. I just let him use my camera equipment, and he does it, just for fun once in a while. If we go to a park together and I let him, share my camera. But it's funny to the newcomer who hasn't been sort of convinced by the YouTube community that you need full frame, he gravitates naturally to micro four thirds, which, kind of surprised me, but not really, because we all know micro four thirds is great quality.
And the bonus of that, of course, is I can use lower ISO. And lower ISO means that I don't need to use Topaz denoise software. So out it goes. Of course, if they're moving, 1/400th of a second probably won't cut it, or if it's like windy and stuff. But if it's calm and the bird is sitting still, 1/400th of a second is fine. And I never have to worry about stabilization with the Lumix G9 Mark II or the 100 to 400 millimeter lens, because we have lots of stabilization in this kit.
That is a beautiful lens, that 100 to 400, the Leica one. I had it, probably like a year ago, and it's so sharp. and the quality is gorgeous. But I sold everything to get the A7 IV. That's just, you know, how it goes. I can't have everything all at once. But one day I wouldn't mind getting that Leica 100-400, that Panasonic Leica one, because those are really quality lenses. But this one is Marlene Hielema. I highly recommend her. I'm going to switch back to me. Okay, and then I'm going to look and see if we have anything in the chat. I'm just going to scroll up here. Sorry, guys.
Biography number 3 DSLR 0D3XD5 and Ferrar Woohoo SOOC Party Popper, Party Popper, Party Popper, BK3, Sjet number 2 I Juice K3XJ, ET number 2 I just LE number 2 I just leave the shutter open and use more or less flash powder to get the right exposure. Face with tongue, the Artoff MN number 1 P1100 eyes, tooltip T, Hartoff Artoff MN number 1 grinning face with sweat, Davine Portland, a 7-room 5 Sjet number 2 Emotion BL, number 2 motion blur can look great, it delivers the sensation of speed and movement. John IGET low L I get low light performance, but it's the only thing I care to fix in post. MFT is easy to light in post, GH7 is perfect, I can't wait to get it.
Oh, the GH7 is nice. I noticed the guys on Petapixel have been using the GH7. The GH5 obviously was epic. Everyone had that. Well, not everyone, but you know what I mean. Let's see here. I'm going to switch over. I'm trying not to forget my little... When you set hotkeys, you can't always remember your hotkeys. Whoops, hold on. Okay, so we've got Marlene. And I'm gonna switch over to the next video.
What is going on?
Okay, so this next one, this one is Purposed Lens Photo and Video. Or Photo and Media. That's what it was, Purpose Lens Photo and Media. But this one, this guy I really enjoy. He has such a good nature. And he was so helpful to me. I had asked him a question in his comments. And I had bought in the Sony ZV-E10 back. This was a couple years ago. I was trying all the different cameras. On my channel, you'll see some really cringe reviews where I'm walking around with the two different types of cameras and then trying to put the footage side by side. But the Sony ZV-E10 was miserably shaky footage, and I was trying to use Catalyst Browse, and it took forever, and I was so miserable. But he was such a nice guy to answer questions, but I just wanted to give him a shout out. Yeah, Purposed Lens. Let's see here.
What's going on, people of YouTube? I'm Steven with Purpose Lens Photo and Media. Today, I'm going to test out the Sony ZV-E10 for photography. I'm going to shoot some photos out here. Then we're going to take them back. We're going to see if these photos suck. We're going to see how good the Sony ZV-E10 is. I figured I would come out here and get some pictures of people and whatnot, but it literally just stopped raining, so everybody left. So it's me and a couple of geese out here, and maybe some people spread all around.
The Canadian geese are terrifying.
But I'm just gonna walk around and take some photos and see what we can get. So let's check it out. So I'm first just gonna start out by setting my white balance. Let's do 5500, that's what it looks like. One of the biggest questions about this camera is, are you gonna be able to take photos without a viewfinder? And yes, you can. I'm using the Sigma 56mm 1.4. I like that shot. There's a lot of interesting things out here.
Those Sigma lenses are gorgeous. I still use a Sigma 16mm 1.4 on the Sony ZV-E10 to film this.
Hello, how are you guys? I'm alive, I can't complain. Things could always be worse. You mind if I take your photo? Yeah, it almost does look like a macro lens. All right, perfect. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. What was your name?
Joelle.
Joelle, I'm Steven. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
Thanks. I don't like to really bother people a lot, but I just kind of want to get an idea of if it's possible to actually shoot people with the camera and things like that. So I'm just going to continue to kind of find some things to shoot. I'm going to use the bokeh on this lens because I know that's what a lot of people like. All right, I'm going to take a picture of the bottom of this tree here. I like that.
Yeah, I really like this guy's vibe. He's just so kind and friendly. I really don't like photographing people in public. I tend to I use a Sigma 100 to 400 millimeter lens, and I'll take a quick shot of someone as they're walking kind of far away from me, but I could never just go up to someone and be like, hey, can I take your photo? Not there yet. I do ask if I could photograph their dog, if they're walking their dog at the park. I have done that, and that's just a really nice icebreaker.
Again, this articulating screen is coming in pretty handy. Now, one of the things I will say that is different with using this is, at least for me, I think I've gotten so used to putting the camera up that I frame better when I don't have all of this distraction around me. And I think that for me is what the viewfinder does, is it helps me to isolate what it is that I want to actually capture. But when I'm like this, my mind is I'm seeing everything around me, and it's difficult to focus in. I mean,
you know, Tony Northrup recently did a video where he says he's not using the viewfinder. I have to have the viewfinder. I can't go without it. I found that out using the Sony ZV-E1 for my little squirrel videography and photos. I ended up having to get one of those strap-on LCD cups, you know, that you can kind of make into your own little viewfinder. And it still didn't work all that well, you know, because it kept coming off and the grip was really shallow. I sometimes think about getting the ZV-E1 again and then getting a camera cage to beef it up a little bit, give it a grip, and then maybe try using that eye cup, because a Sony a7S III is the focusing just, I miss that AI chip in the Sony ZV-E1 being able to just have that little green box around the animal's eye, because when I review my footage from the a7S III, it's in and out. It focuses really well, don't get me wrong, but it just, you know, it can't keep on the eye.
I mean, I'm sure over time, if I kept at it and I practiced, that I could get used to it. But it's just something right now that I haven't become accustomed to yet. So I'm working on it. It's gonna start raining here in just a second, so I wanna make sure that I'm not getting caught in the rain. I like that. I do like the fact that it's small in my hand, it's not heavy. When I'm taking pictures, typically I'm using a different camera and it's a lot heavier than this. But this is really nice. It's lightweight. My arms aren't fatigued yet, you know. And I'm not huge, but I think anytime you're just holding something, you're trying to hold it still, and you're trying to get photos, it can be difficult. That part I love about it is how lightweight it is. So let's keep moving. Steph?
Let's see, I'm gonna go back to me now, but yeah, that was Steven with Purposed Lens Photo and Media. An awesome channel to check out. Okay, I would go for it.
Will, holy crap, the legend is here. Hey Mark, XJET number 3 modern, digital, photographers will never know the adrenaline buzz that we used to get when the prints came back from the lab when using film. Delayed gratification was a thing. Davine Portland, sniper mode. Mark Bennett's camera crisis, yeah, Steven is great. WIL.
Yay. I'm so glad that Mark Bennett showed up. Hi Mark, thank you. I'm sure everyone came to watch a train wreck. It went live before I was ready, and I was so embarrassed. I hurried up and took it down because I was just staring at the camera. It needs to have a better integration with OBS somehow. Oops, I'm going to go ahead and read the chat some more. Oops, hold on.
Sjet number 3 modern, digital, photographers will never know the adrenaline buzz that we used.
Trying to get rid of this thing here. There we go.
Sjet number 3 modern, digital, photographers will never know the adrenaline buzz that we used to get when the prints came back from the lab when using film. Delayed gratification was a thing. Davine Portland, sniper mode. Sjet number 3 bo, KEH, number 3 bokeh, doesn't he mean Tona? Face with tongue, Mark A. Bennett's camera crisis at Will Hay. Will Mark, is your family in the fire area? Hope they are safe. Mark Benny TT's camera crisis, at Will. Yeah, friends and family back home are no longer in danger. They were, but it's all okay now. WILL number 2 yeah, lot number 2 yeah, lots of rain here Bonvista North last couple days, good to hear. Thumbs up, Joe NINE. I need a viewfinder. I will pay money for a true modern camcorder, but it's not in the cards. Davine Portland at Mark Bennett's camera crisis. What fire? Hobby only photography. Greetings everyone, I jumped in a little late. Today is National Photography Day. Mark Benny, TT's camera crisis at Davine Portland Newfoundland. Whittlefire Will number 2 low, L that number 2 LOL that was funny. Beaming face with smiling eyes, tooltip Mark Ben K. Bennett's camera crisis. Hi. Davine Portland thanks at Mark Bennett's camera crisis. I'll Google it.
Okay, I'm gonna switch over to, let's see if I can find my window with my videos. Okay, and let's see here. I'm gonna switch over. Thank God for these hotkeys. OBS isn't always the most easiest to understand how to use. I've been using it for a few years, and every step was painful. Like when you add a camera to more than the same camera to more than one scene, you have to use the existing camera, or a camera will go away, and you have to reactivate it each time. So I didn't know exactly what was going on. But this last one is Vu from Envoo Films. I'm not sure how to speak Vietnamese, but I think how you pronounce the last name is Wen. Somebody can correct me, because I'm an English speaker, but I think it's Vu Wen. But anyway, I'm gonna see what he has to show, but I really like his channel.
Envoo Films, back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about Lumix versus Sony, or Panasonic versus Sony. I don't know what to call it, to be honest with you. Panasonic, Lumix, whatever. I want to discuss this is because Lumix is a hot topic right now, especially with the new release of the S1 Mark II and the S1 Mark IIe, and it's been causing quite a stir in terms of people switching from other brands, people accusing two douchers of being shills. And I have been saying that, but I'm joking, and they all know that I'm joking. I'm going to try my very best to be unbiased here. I am a Sony user, a Sony D-bag trash fanboy who has been using Sony cameras since 2014, and who has only dabbled with one other system, which is Fujifilm, for about 3 months, and that's it. So this is coming from that perspective.
You know, I've never gotten to try a Fuji, but I did find out that my friend's best friend works for Fujifilms. And I said, is there any way I could get a discount? Because I know they're such a hot commodity. They're very stylish. But I was watching Casey from Camera Conspiracies, and a lot of times the Fuji seems to have autofocus issues, but the colors coming right out of the camera are so pretty, and I guess you can do those recipes, which it has such a beautiful beautiful vintage looks.
Depending on who you are, most Lumix fanboys think I'm a piece of trash, because even though I say 95% positive things about Lumix in my videos, that 5% where I'm a little bit negative, all of a sudden it makes me a complete 100% hater. Unless I am resting Lumix balls on my chin, I'm a 100% Lumix hater, so there's that. And to be quite honest, who I want this video to be geared towards is if you're new and you're just trying to get into video now, if you've been doing video work, content creation, but like on a phone or like an action camera or like a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or something like that. If you're trying to get into a interchangeable mount system, you have a tough decision between all of these camera brands. And then you also have guys who are currently have a small investment into Sony. Let's say you have like one camera, one lens, and it's not going to be that big of a deal to you to sell those off to get into Lumix. If that's what you want to do, this is who I'm targeting. This is who this video is for. If you have been on any system for a long period of time and you have multiple lenses, multiple bodies, you should just stay into that system.
I completely agree with that because I've wanted to try the Lumix. I'm really hankering after the Lumix S1 Mark II because it has a higher frame rates, because slow motion, when you're filming squirrels, slow motion is everything. And I know that seems like such a stupid little genre, but it works for me. It's just for fun. It's my hobby. That's why I think I started watching Camera Conspiracies, because he can get a lot of slow motion squirrel footage. But I thought about the S5 Mark II because it had the phase detect and everything. It was one of the first ones, I think, that had phase detect, and it was decent. Very similar to the Sony a7 IV. But a little more stable from what I've seen in the footage between the two. But when you have all of your lenses, and granted, all of my lenses are Sigma, because I'm not going to be investing in G Master lenses because I don't have the money for that, which, there's no shame in that. But I can't sell all of my Sony stuff just to switch over to Lumix. Not right now. Maybe one day I could, but I would be taking a pretty big loss. And a lot of my lenses are kind of beat up because I bought them used. You should see my Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens. It's actually for the EF mount. I got it for $400. Used off eBay because it had a filter stuck on the front that was bent and it had scratches. So nobody wanted the lens, but I could tell it had a filter, and I could tell that if I could get the filter off, I bet the glass underneath would be okay. So I got it for $400, which may or may not have been the best deal in the world, seeing as that it was the contemporary version of the Sigma 150 to 600, not the Sport, and it wasn't directly for Sony. But man, when I got that filter off, I had to use a rubber band, and I watched a bunch of how-to videos, and I finally got it off. The glass was beautiful, and with the MC11 adapter, it works like a dream. And actually, when you put it on the Sony ZV-E1, the autofocus is so fast, so snappy. It feels like a native lens. So I haven't been sad about that.
Because all of these camera brands now, you're talking about like Sony, Nikon, Lumix, and for a lesser extent, Canon, which is always trashed regardless. So if you've been shooting Canon all this time, you might as well just quit your job entirely, because you have a lack of judgment in cameras, which means you probably have a lack of judgment in everything else in life. I'm just kidding. If you're assuming you're just trying to get into it, or you're just trying to like upgrade your gear or something from something else, it's a very tough decision with all these different options these days. And as you get better at content creation, videography, and all those things are getting more complicated. For example, this is my current setup right now. I'm a professional videographer. I do videography full time. Okay, so like I do wedding films, I do corporate films, I do random documentary stuff. And of course, I'm a YouTube douchebag trash tube doucher that shills camera gear for well below minimum wage. From that perspective, when I first started doing this YouTube stuff, I just kind of film whatever, not a big deal. The only time I really took my filmmaking seriously was when I was working with clients, and my YouTube was just, hey, let me just create content, and it is what it is. And to be honest, that's probably the best way to do things. But then, of course, as I started getting more into it, I started making things more complicated. So right now I'm outside here in my kitchen with a lot of reverb. So I got to make sure I have this microphone right here to isolate my voice better It's a directional shotgun mic. It records everything via 32-bit float. So if I talk too loudly, it's not going to distort the audio.
See, he is really good at incorporating gear that he's, trying to help to sell. And if I ever do that, I don't think I could ever be that great at it, incorporating it. I'm going to put myself back in frame. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to check on the chat. But yeah, that was Vu from Envoo Films. He is one of my favorites. His humor is second only to Casey from Camera Conspiracies. He always makes me laugh. Well, I'll scratch that. I'll say Mark Bennett is second, and then Vu. So Casey, Mark, and then Vu. Those three. And let's see. Is it safe to look at the chat? It's funny because trying to have it read.
Davine Portland, has anyone watched the squirrel mazes on Mark Rober's channel? STEVHLMSY the Artofm man. Number 1 OMG Canon trashy loudly crying face. Tooltip T. Hartofi Artofm man number 1 face with tears of joy. Jo. And Kino Canon files are just nonsense th. Artofm man number 1 only if Lumix created massive DSLR prod lineup. Davine Portland GoPros files are even worse than Canon's. Davine Portland I can't wait for 64-bit float. The Artofm man number 1 ya imagine. Davine Portland dare we dream of 128-bit float? Chat. Tooltip red heart changes saved.
Oops, there we go. Okay. I'm a little bit clumsy with all of this, obviously. But I think I'm going to wrap it up about here. It was really fun sharing some of these lesser known channels. They're not, I pretty much chose ones that I really enjoy that are under 50K subscribers. Because so many channels that I've been following, they're really blowing up, and I've really enjoyed watching everyone grow. Because a lot of the channels that I started watching, they had like maybe 20, 30,000 subscribers, and now they're all pushing towards 100,000 and going up from there. Because I was going to include Terry Warfield and some others, but they're really starting to grow. So I wanted to do ones, that were pretty much under 50,000 subscribers. But if you would like me to do more live streams, just let me know. It's definitely nerve-wracking, but I think I've got a little bit of a formula. I'm using other people's content to sort of lean on as a crutch, and hopefully I won't get any, copyright claims or strikes. I tried to pick clips that didn't have any music, because music is the one thing that you'll really get flagged for copyright. This is ironic. I'll end with this little story. I just got monetized on this channel, right? It's been my dream for a few years to try to get monetized on YouTube. And after I, got fired from my medical billing job, but probably like last July, I think was when I got fired, because they tried to double my workload, and I had a disagreement with the new director, and it just didn't end well. They tried to force a resignation. But anyway, I just now started really focusing in on making YouTube content, because I was having a really hard time finding a job, being someone that's has visual impairments and things like that. I think, sometimes in the Zoom interviews, I don't know if, they judge because, if your eyes are misaligned. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I decided to focus in on my content. But anyway, 2 days after getting monetized, I get a copyright strike on an old video that's just me, a talking head, and I had gotten an Artlist license, and there was just this little background beat, just real mellow, and I had the Artlist license, and I don't know if something had happened with the Artlist license, like maybe it was inactive, I don't know, but this company in India did a copyright strike, and and they said like the whole entire video, and it wasn't for like music. They named like some Indian, it was something Del Me is like the name. I don't know if it said video, it didn't say music, so I don't know what their issue was. But anyway, I'm fighting it because I felt like it wasn't fair, and because I looked on Artlist to see if that particular song came up on there anywhere, and it didn't. So I don't know if the beats are just very similar and it got some kind of like misidentified, but you would think that their system would have picked it up and would have flagged it, you know, pretty soon after I uploaded it. But it was about this company called Willoughby's Cameras, where they had sold me a gray market camera and I didn't realize it, and it was like a Chinese version, and it wasn't like it was like PAL and not North American. Like the region gave me a constant message on the Sony ZV-E10 saying that, you know, I could use the North American region when I was filming, but it was like it was just a constant pop-up, and it was really obnoxious. And they had you know, I felt like it was kind of false advertising. So I don't know what exactly happened, if it was that particular company that was trying to do the strike. But anyway, I'm fighting it, and just hopefully nothing happens. And I don't know if using other creators' clips and doing sort of like a reaction channel like this is the best idea. But I just did a video for fun, and then it started to blow up. And I was like, I'm going to stick to doing this, and I'm hoping it'll work out, because people seem to enjoy that style of video, you know, doing little reactions and, you know, mixing other videos together. And I don't know if anyone would watch me just for myself, you know, like doing the reviews that I was doing. Those were fun, you know, but I couldn't always afford all of the new camera gear. So I did what I could afford and exhausted that. And then I was trying to go out with my camera out into wildlife and sort of do kind of like a little vlog of, you know, the photos that I took. And those didn't do super well. But then I just decided to put some clips of camera conspiracies and Marcus Picks and Gerald Undone and put them together and do little reactions. And then all of a sudden those were starting to get really incredible views. So maybe one day my own personality, I'll be able to stand out on my own, but I think I'm gonna end it just about here, if I can figure out how to do that. They're supposed to, oh, you know what? I had scrolled down a little bit. They don't make it easy. I'm not the only one that has issues with live streaming, though. I did notice other people have the same problems. But thanks so much for coming, and I'm going to try to end this. Whoops. If I do post this, I'll have to cut off the end.